Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel once again. We're going to be doing a full open box review of the Remnant Stormtrooper from the Mandalorian. And here he is in his box. He looks pretty tattered and torn. There he is with his picture. And here he is again on the back. So I got my Mando out here, and I got a collection of Stormtroopers. And these are really the reason why I wasn't planning on getting a Remnant Stormtrooper. I kind of like the way these Sand Troopers look, and I think that they're pretty weathered and worn for being kind of set up and displayed along with the Mandalorian. I could always take off the extra gear and they would just be dirty Stormtroopers. And of course, I've got my one nice, clean, shiny trooper. So let's open this figure up and take a closer look at what new articulation this one has, and take a closer look at the remnant portion of the Stormtrooper. Okay, so we got the Remnant Stormtrooper out of the package, and the first thing that I'm going to do is just take a look at his blaster. It looks pretty standard. It looks like a pretty standard blaster to me, except for the first thing that I notice is that this little clip on the side or whatever seems to be a little bit longer. And I don't know if the other one has a scope. So what I did was I actually pulled one of the other blasters out of the hand of the Stormtrooper. And lo and behold, look at that. There is a difference in the size and that side scope or whatever that is. And of course, the little magazine that sticks on the side is actually a little bit longer on the Remnant Troopers. This is his. And that one belongs to one of the Sand Troopers. So there is a little bit of difference in the blaster. So let's take a closer look at this figure. We're going to take a look at them all tattered and torn. Now it's kind of interesting, right? Like to me, because I get that these Stormtroopers have been around a while, and I get this dark weathering. I'm not sure what this gray is supposed to be. If it's supposed to be like paint chipping or something off of there. So are they made of some type of a metal underneath? Because it's got like a silverish, right? And I never thought of the Stormtrooper's armor as being some type of silver metal, except for Phasma has that silver. So which is interesting is like, I get the remnant portion of the Stormtrooper because he's dirty. I mean, this basically looks like a couple of my really old vintage Stormtroopers and how they've like weathered and colored over the years. So they may have just melted down old Stormtroopers to make this. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure that's a paint, but it looks almost, right? Like if you have any like vintage Stormtroopers lying around that had like the fading and have yellowed, that does look like that yellowing, which is kind of like a cool touch. Now this part right here is kind of like a silver, almost like a silver gray. And I never imagined the Stormtroopers having like metal for their armor for some reason. I guess I always imagined it was some sort of polycarbonate type of material that could like maybe deflect laser blasts or something because of the coating or something like that. So I never imagined them to be like metallic in any way, but I'm guessing that they're maybe supposed to be metallic. Okay, so we're going to talk about the articulation here. So the head does have that same kind of articulation where he moves around. And he does have some movement up in that joint there. And here's the very interesting part if you look underneath that helmet, right? It looks like there's a fake head under there because I feel like I can see like an ear and stuff like that. So this helmet might come off of that fake head. And I may try to get this helmet off just to see what it looks like. But let's do this first because I have to think about whether or not I'm going to break this guy. So anyways, he does have this double shoulder articulable joint in here, which allows this movement forward and this movement backwards. And the cool thing about these shoulder pads is that they are actually attached. Let me get some light. So they are actually attached up there, which is individual of being stuck up on the shoulder. So that's what allows his arm to move further up, is that that shoulder pad is not attached to that shoulder to run into the armor, which is actually really, really cool, right? So you get a lot of like more articulation there. You got the arm that comes back, and he can actually touch the helmet like he's thinking, which is really cool. And then he has this ball joint here on that joint, except for the side to side. I think he gets more side movement than the other figure. So if they're dancing, he's gonna get a higher score on Dancing with the Stars. And then of course you got the leg. Look at that leg movement. He's got that really high kick, and he's got his knee, which bends really, really well. And he's got some really tight foot movement in there. And he's got this ankle joint that moves around. And of course, the top portion of his leg spins. So this is actually a really, really nicely articulable figure. And he's designed to look like he's been weathered and worn. And because of the way this joint is right here, I feel like his armor is a little bit ill-fitting, which is kind of interesting to me. But it almost seems like this armor right here could easily come off and reveal a black outfit underneath, which makes me wonder if there's going to be another figure coming out that's going to have the partial armor removed, like a half-dressed stormtrooper. Because you could take this upper portion of the armor off and it will have like a chest underneath it, which is actually really kind of interesting, right? Because this armor is not attached or part of that upper body. Like on this one right here, if you look, it's actually part of the upper body. It is the upper body, that upper portion of the armor. But this upper portion of the armor is covering another piece. And I think that's because, it could be one of two reasons. One, because of this upper chest piece with the full articulation, probably goes on many different kinds of figures. And maybe they're thinking about another figure in the future. And that's something I didn't notice on this one, but it's pretty much the same deal, where this upper piece is not the upper body. It's just armor going over the upper body. So that's actually really neat. You and I have discovered it together during this review. Okay, before we go, I did pop off the head, and I've been struggling here to get this out, but you can definitely see that there's a head underneath there, and I'll continue to work on it. I'm just not going to do it right this second, but you can see the ears definitely in there. You can see there's a head inside that helmet. So it'd be very interesting to see that blank head and see how that, you know, if it actually is just like a round head that doesn't have any facial features, or if it's actually something that actually has facial features. And I really appreciate you guys sticking around to the end. Have a great day, everybody.